Welcome to season 3, episode 7 of Quaint and Cozy KC. I am your host, Lainey Renee. And you know what? I have been running around. If you've kind of been following my blog, you know me in real life. You've seen me on Quaint and Cozy KC, my Facebook page, all the pictures I've been posting. I have been running around. Now, I'm not going to be able to go through everything that I've been doing. I'm going to break it up into different episodes because I don't want to have an hour long episode listing like 6 or 7 things because I feel like for me as a podcast listener, I mean, I love listening to these quaint and cozy kind of podcasts where, they just talk about like museums and fun things to do around a local city, all that stuff. But sometimes it can be a little too much for me I'm like, oh, this is overload. This is overload. I've got to like pause this and come back to it later. So I'm trying to do shorter episodes, anywhere from 25 minutes to maybe 35 minutes. And a part of that is like, I just don't want to pack everything in there. I want to have something to look forward to for the next week. But I did a lot of stuff since we last spoke. So today I'm going to talk to you about the downtown Kearney trip that I took. Now, I hinted at it last week because I went to downtown Kearney, Missouri, and I went to the Historic Museum. Then I went to the Fun Farm Pumpkin Patch because they were hosting a Tulip Fest, which and I'll get to it later. It does end this Sunday, April 27th. I want to make sure I include that. You can buy tickets online. I believe, I'm not sure if they're selling them at the door, but I know for sure you can buy them online. Hmm. So then also I want to talk about the orchid auction that I attended this past Sunday, and I ended up making little moves as when it came to that. I'll talk about a little bit about that. And that was hosted at the Merriam Kansas Community Center, y'all. That's a whole other vibe there. And then the third thing I want to talk to you about, just briefly, I'll mention the Kite Flying Festival. That's happening in Elise Summit on at the MCC campus, the Longview campus on Sunday. Hopefully it's not raining. Hopefully they can go through it that like the weather was going to be okay because we've had some rainy days here in Kansas City. So I'm hoping that, it's from 12 to 5. So hopefully, they'll be able to do that. And then something, about the Friends of the Library, because my library is the Midcontinent Library. And so I'll talk to you a little bit about that. And then, of course, I got to talk about some farmers markets because some more opened last week. And then I'll tease maybe a little bit of the next episode coming up. Some things that I got into because I did a lot of stuff. And yeah, so let's get to it. Let's start with downtown Kearney. Okay. Now, downtown Kearney, Missouri, and it's like in the Northland, right? It's like, and I can remember when I was driving from Topeka, Kansas, when I'd visit my mom, I'd drive from Minnesota to Topeka, Kansas, like Minneapolis, St. Paul area to Topeka, Kansas, and I would stop in Kearney. Like that was a stop we always did because we're like, okay, Kearney, woo, we're like kind of closer to Kansas City, like we're almost there. We would stop, gas up. And sometimes we, eat a little fast food there and then, go on, make that last kind of trek into Topeka. So that's all I knew Kearney as was a place where I got gas and I went and ate fast food or something like that, right? Just not, it just wasn't memorable for me. Not because it's not a memorable town. There's a lot of stuff going on there, okay? Let's just say they have got all kinds of museums. Now, I only visited one. I visited the one downtown, but they have got Kearney, Missouri is like, and I didn't realize this until probably the past year or so when I started getting into the quaint and cozy lifestyle, like really embracing it. There's a lot of museums up there. So I went to the Kearney, Missouri Historic Museum, and that is, as I said, located downtown. Now, something to know about Kearney is that, to know it's like the birthplace of Jesse James. Like they have like this Jesse James museum there, and it's pretty extensive. Like they are all about Jesse James in Kearney, Missouri. Like that is their claim to fame. You definitely want to check out that. I haven't gotten a chance to do that. I will, return and kind of do a dedicated visit of that because I think it's going to take a little bit longer than like, 20 minutes or something like that or 30 minutes. It's probably going to be a little bit more extensive. So downtown Kearney, it's not like the other downtowns that I've been to. Like there's definitely like a street, there's like a main street situation and everything like that, but it kind of loops around. So it looks kind of it's like, Main Street USA, but then it's got kind of elements of like the suburbs. Like it just kind of how it's laid out, and that surprised me a little bit, but that's, again, I've got no problems with that. It's super cute over there. And so yeah, I mean, it's kind of to me, it's like more of like a Main Street situation, but it's really nice buildings to look at. And I didn't go and eat down there, but I did check out another place. It was kind of more on the suburban side of Kearney, but the museum was beautiful. Now I walked in, and I mean, they had a fountain outside, and like it was a beautiful building. And I'll be posting this in the next, week or so. And but it's also posted on my, if you go to my Facebook page, because what I end up doing is I will post everything to my Facebook page first, and then I'll go to my blog and I will, post a little blurb about it and then kind of direct you to the pictures. But so if you go to my Facebook, Quaint and Cozy KC, Facebook page, you will find the pictures for that. But it's beautiful outside. And so I went inside, and it just looked like, oh my gosh, it looked like a real museum. Now, all the other museums I've been to, they look like real museums too. But this was something like, if you would have told me that this was a small town museum, like if I just would have walked inside, I would have sworn, no, this is a bigger city museum. The way they had everything laid out, I mean, it was just like it was charming, but it was also very kind of I would call it like kind of like very organized. I didn't get the sense of like, oh, this is a charming small town museum and oh my gosh and whatever. I mean, it's charming, but it's a little city slickered up. I guess that's the best way I could say it. But they had just different, and again, their exhibits. There was such a variation on the way they had things exhibited. That kind of it surprised me. Now they do have a lot of equipment in there that might have been part of the reason why it kind of had more of a city slicker, to me, like kind of vibe in there. It wasn't like a small town. It really did seem more like an urban um, kind of a museum. And the volunteer, really nice, very knowledgeable about everything. And he was like, "Hey, if you needed, if you have any questions, just, feel free to ask me." There was another visitor in there as well who was pretty knowledgeable about the area. So that was good. I always love it when I love talking to volunteers, but also I love it when there's like residents that go in there and they want to talk history, and they know about it too. And it's so exciting to kind of be in that energy. So they've got like displays for like there was like a traveling display. They had a display of like a bank vault, it looked like. And then of course they had, like the doctor's office displays, and then they had kind of like a living room display. But what really surprised me was they had this cute little gift shop. Now the gift shop was a little bit out of the way. So a lot of times with the gift shops, they're kind of like at the forefront of it. You're like, oh, okay, here's the gift shop, and then here's no, they had it tucked away, but they had these cute like they had these cute little fans that you could get. They had like, and then they had kind of like a one sheet about the language of the fan. They had a book, The Essential Handbook of Victorian Etiquette, which looked interesting. They had just different sculptures in there, and typewriters, and but they had it organized in a way where you're like, oh wow, this is kind of like, again, like I said, it was a little bit more city slickered up than what I was used to. Still very charming, but just very, it just looks so good. And they had like, these more modern displays. Maybe modern is a better way to say how the layout was. I don't know, but it had a nice vibe in there. Now, it doesn't cost any money to go in, but they do, they've got donations if you want to go ahead and make like a donation, a cash donation. Um, they have that, and it's definitely worth it, I think. And then it's next to the museum is kind of located next to, like, it looked kind of like a thrift store, something like that. It looked very interesting. If I wasn't on a time crunch, I would have, checked that out too. And so then after spending about maybe 30-40 minutes in there, I bid them adieu. I went and I took some more pictures downtown because I love looking at the brick and the architecture, all the history. And then I got in my car and I headed off to my next location, which was the Fun Farm Pumpkin Patch. for the Tulip Fest. I met a group of friends there, and it's funny because it was so big. I only ended up running into like a few people I knew, and then the rest of the group was they were we were all kind of separated because there's an actual farm. So in my mind, I thought, oh, Tulip Fest, because I'd never been to this farm before. And come to find out, it's a place that people go to berry pick, pick apples, um, pumpkin patch, like all the things. But they have like a farm. It's an actual farm. There's things to do. There's animals, just all kinds of, it's kind of like a petting zoo situation. There's all kinds of things to do. So, for a lot of people, they were spending more time at the farm, and then the tulips were kind of like an afterthought, like, oh, yeah, there's tulips here too, which is kind of cool. Again, I grew up spending my summers on farms. So, I mean, I always like looking at the animals and seeing the things, and I took some pictures, which again, I did post on my Quaint and Cozy KC Facebook page. But, I was there for the tulips because I love tulips. My mom's favorite flower were tulips, and she had an April birthday. And so her tulips would always bloom on her birthday, like around her birthday. So I always thought that was kind of neat. And so I took lots of pictures of the tulips. And I just loved being in the vibe. And I loved watching all the people. There's so many people there taking pictures and having fun. It was like, sometimes you go to these events and no one is having fun. They're just trying to get the perfect shot. And oh my gosh, it's so stressful. They're just trying to get the perfect shot for social media. But this people were actually frolicking and just having a good time. And to me, that's really what it's all about. Is like when you go to these things, it's like, of course, I want to take pictures. And I wore like a pink dress so I could like run through the tulips, all that kind of thing. It was like a pink kind of off the shouldery dress. And, I wanted to feel like that. But at the end of the day, I still want to have fun and I still want to, have fun with my friends and talk and chat and laugh. And that's what we did. And everyone was so friendly. I love those kinds of things. And again, the last day is April 27th. That's Sunday, April 27th, last day for the Tulip Fest at Fun Farm Pumpkin Patch. And I'll put the information in the show notes. Okay, next, the orchid auction. I know when you heard about orchid auctions, you're like, what? She went to a what? So maybe like a month or so ago, I was looking around. I was like, gosh, I want to do something fun for my birthday. Now my birthday was on the following Monday, but just something leading up to that. So what I ended up doing is I saw something for an orchid auction. I'm like, well, that looks interesting. And so then I, headed over there, and it's in the Community Center, Merriam, Kansas Community Center in Johnson County. Now, listen, I love Merriam. It's cute. It's got a lot of really, it's got a nice little farmers market, all that stuff. But I didn't, I'd never been to the community center. And there was a library that used to be on Antioch. A Johnson County library that was on Antioch, and I'm trying not to tear up about this, but that was my favorite library. It's one of the first libraries I went to when I moved to the Overland Park area, Mission Overland Park area. And so, they closed it. It was old, so they reopened it like in the Merriam Community Center campus, and it's beautiful. I got to visit it, and I talked to the librarian there, and I told her a little bit about it and my history with it. And we're both kind of like, we're book nerds because she was a library kid too. And so once upon a time, so we talked about just the libraries, and when you walk in and you just know where everything's at, that comfort of the library. Oh, there's my favorite chair. No one's sitting in it. And that's like the happy days. Like, oh my gosh, let me get a couple books so I can sit in my favorite chair. Or, oh, look, this is what, those things that bring us comfort, right? And so we were talking about that. And then some people came in to get library cards. So, I skittered away because, that's her business right there, is to sign people up for the library. So that's good. But it's beautiful in there. And then someplace else that I ended up running into. And it's one of those things where I didn't realize that until maybe a few years ago, how many beautiful art galleries we have around the city with the library in the libraries. And I'm sure if you're listening to this outside the Kansas City area, you can probably attest to your own library having like these little like either a mini gallery of art or like an exhibit of art, like maybe a monthly thing that gets taken down, or maybe it's a seasonal thing. I don't know, but this is actually the Tim Murphy Art Gallery, located in the community center, Merriam, Kansas Community Center. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. It was just really nice to walk around. And of course, it's free. It's part of like, it's located in a corner of the community center, but it was beautiful just kind of walking slowly through there. And it's something that if you're an art nerd like me, it's going to take you like 20 minutes to really look at all the pictures and really savor everything. But if you're not, it's like a good 10-minute thing. Kind of look at the picture, like, oh, that's nice, whatever. Just depends. Everyone views art in a different way. So I do not judge. If you're a person that just goes, oh, look, pretty picture, walk down, or if you're more like me, we're just like strolling and getting all contemplative over like, oh, look, this person's sitting at a bus stop. I wonder what that symbolizes. If you're like me doing that, or just, oh, look, pretty pictures, and then you just keep rolling. Nothing wrong with that. So the Orchid Society, so there's a Orchid Society of Greater Kansas City. I joined. Spoiler alert, I did join it. They do have, I think, monthly meetings, and I have to open up my welcome packet, all that stuff. I've got to do that. I received the email. Now, the auction, I cannot have any more plants in my house in the sense of like I already have the plants that I want to have. And an orchid is going to take some more because I had an orchid for a couple of years that was gifted to me and then it died and then it came back and then it died again and then it sort of came back and then it just completely died. So I kind of want to get better at the whole orchid tending. And it's not easy, but I thought, you know what? Why not spend a year or two just kind of getting familiar with that? That's a skill that I can learn and it's interesting. And there's so many people that are so passionate about their orchids and just seeing, I mean, I was like afraid. I'm like, if I am I gonna go? Are there gonna be people there? Y'all, that place was packed. That whole people, it was packed. People were paying attention and bidding on these plants, and they had other plants besides orchids as well. But people were like, I mean, it was getting cutthroat in there, y'all, for real. Bidding started at $20, which to me, that's a good price point because, I mean, I feel like it's attainable. And when you start things at $50 for some people, they kind of have to be like, oh, I don't know, but $20 is a nice place to start. I did kind of appreciate that. They were very friendly in signing me up, very quick about, like, contacting me, about my membership and everything like that. And so, yes, I'm really excited to check that out. Now let's talk about the Kite Flying Festival in Lee Summit. I did mention this before. It's Flights of Fancy 2025 Kite Festival in Lee Summit on the MCC Longview campus. And as I stated before in the intro, I hope the weather stays good for this because we've had these rainy kind of things and it's just not, it's no fun to try to like fly a kite in like a downpour. Like you're not going to be able to do it. And I just hope that they are able to, um, you know, get this going without a hitch because I love flying kites so much. Now, I'm not going to go and buy a kite because I'm not regularly like a kite person. But I mean, I for myself, I haven't flown a kite in years, and I just don't really right now have the desire to get into that because I've got too many hobbies going on right now. If I may be honest, too many hobbies. I'm looking at the weather right now. It's not looking promising, but who knows? Anything. It's only Monday. Things can change by Sunday, hopefully. Okay. And now let's talk about, and that's from 12 to 5 p.m. Now let's go back to the farmers markets again. Now, as I stated, some have opened. So I know that Overland Park opened, Overland Park, Kansas one opened last week. Then I also know that Lee Summit opened last week. Now Brookside is open all year round. And let's see, I'm trying to see what else. It looks like the Drum Market opened. That is an independent, and that is like a center that supports children in foster care. So that's kind of like what they do. And so, the kids, they get the life skill teaching programs and they tend a 4-acre garden and they care for small livestock. And it's a seasonal market. That one is. And see, I haven't been to that one. So that's on my list. I've been to the Independence Farmers Market, but I haven't been to this drum market. So that's on my list. It looks like now I do have, just to let you know, a little exclusive. I'm going to be going to the Ivanhoe Farmers Market in May. So I'm excited about that because they do like second Saturdays and fourth Fridays, May through October. So it's a little bit of a different kind of schedule for them, but I'm excited. I already got the plans. Now, they have that KC Farmers Market passport going on as well. So you want to go pick that up. Now, I know that not all farmers markets are participating in it, but you know what I found last year? I just brought it with me and people were stamping it. So there you go, right there. So that is going to be going on, just like, and then this weekend, the weekend of the April 26th, Lenexa Farmers Market on the Kansas side opens up. So that'll be fun. And Parkville on the Missouri side opens up as well. And they have a new shelter in Parkville. I think they have a new They're going to be doing their Overland Park Farmers Market at the Matt Ross Community Center. So that's new from last week from sorry from last year, and this is going to be a temporary place for them because they're building an entirely new indoor outdoor venue, which will be good. I'm excited for it because I always thought Overland Park is so big they kind of need an indoor outdoor venue. They really do. Like they need that indoor outdoor venue thing going on because it's just so big because it's an event kind of farmers market. It's like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, we're going to the Overland Park Farmers Market and it's an event. It's not just, oh, we're picking up a few things. No, we're walking around. It's kind of like the city market is, kind of like Lenox is as well. Independence, like certain farmers markets, the smaller ones, I always say, if you're in a hurry, go there, pick up the things you need to pick up, and then you can go. You can support them that way because it's more of like an extension of your grocery shopping. Like, for example, Grandview, I would say Gladstone, Shawnee as well. Although Shawnee, where it's located, there are like lots of cute little places to eat and all that stuff. So you could kind of make it an event as well. But, the actual farmers market, it is for me, more of something where I'm like, oh, I got to pick up these things and then head on to my next like errand. Okay. Now I've talked about that like I'm going through my list. Now, any upcoming things I'm going to talk to you about? Well, so I'm going to do more. I'm just going to mention a little tease here. Vail Mansion is an independent, and I actually went and visited you guys. It was so much fun. I'm going to put that in my next podcast. Also, I went finally in downtown Liberty, I went to the Clay County Archives. I've been trying to go, but they're on limited hours. They're only open like Monday through Wednesday from 9 to 4. So I had to like take a lunch and head on over there. And I'll tell you kind of what I found over there. But that was really exciting for me. Again, like I said, this quaint and cozy lifestyle, it's real. And I do want to thank you because I'm getting more and more support. You guys, more people. Like it's small but mighty. When I started this, I had like maybe 40 followers on Facebook and I was happy for those 40 followers. Like, yes, 40 followers. Now I've got like 40 likes and then I've got 146 followers, or maybe that I've switched that around. But anyways, I'm like, yay, I have over 100 people. This is so cool. And what I like about being a smaller creator, and I'm noticing I'm getting more people listening. What I like about being a smaller creator is I don't have to do anything that's super slick. I can just be me, and you guys are supportive of me geeking out over these quaint and cozy things, because I know you're sitting there going, yes, I'm geeking out about that too. Okay. So thank you so much for listening today. You guys are such, like I said, very supportive people. I've got more things that I want to do. Hopefully next week I can talk to you about the Kite Festival because I really want to go. Um, but definitely talking to you about Vail Mansion, the Clay County Archives, and I was like looking at like my schedule because I've got like my big birthday party this weekend. I had a small kind of like I've kind of been leading up to like small little gathering sort of, but I have my bigger one. Actually I have my birthday party, and then after my birthday party, I got to go to someone else's birthday party. Right after mine. And so, again, I never rest, I never sleep. But I'm trying a new restaurant on Friday. I'm pretty excited about this Friday. Pretty excited about it. I'll talk to you more about that on Aunt Lanie's Kitchen. And just so many things right now going on with like my construction, where like the siding is done, but then I've got more things in my house that I need to kind of declutter. And I'm, moving things around my kitchen. And just, I feel like my whole house is going to be like a construction zone. I'm trying to wrap everything up by June if I can, but if not, this might just be the summer that I kind of, live in a construction zone. And and I'm okay with that. I'm all for it. I do have this little lounge project in my basement that I really want to explore. I don't like, but then yesterday when I came back from all the rain, I actually did get a little water in my basement, and that hadn't happened in a very long time. So I'm like, I'm kind of rethinking like how I would do the lounge in my basement. So, we'll see. Maybe that lounge will I'll kind of do more of a lounge vibe in my living room. I don't know how I'll do it, but I've been on Pinterest just like looking around, like trying to figure out the perfect lounge vibe. So we'll see. How I figure that out is probably you'll probably be hearing like little bits and pieces of that over the next couple of months. And on that note, you can find me at quaintandcozykc.com. I'm also on Facebook under Quaint and Cozy KC. I'm on TikTok under Quaint and Cozy KC and Instagram under Quaint and Cozy KC. So talk to you guys later. And I again, always as always, thank you for all of your support. Take care.